Okay, let's dive right into this fascinating new way of understanding how the most advanced AIs actually think. For the longest time, we've had this picture of AI as a single, super powerful brain just thinking harder and harder. But what if I told you that's all wrong? The reality, it turns out, is a lot more like a chaotic committee meeting. And believe me, it is completely changing the game.
So, yeah, for ages, the idea was pretty simple. Better AI just meant a longer chain of thought. Like a monologue where it just talks to itself for longer to get to an answer. But the huge breakthroughs we're seeing right now, they don't look like a monologue at all. It's much more like a back and forth, a real, dynamic dialogue happening right inside the machine.
And this is where things get really interesting. Suddenly, we had this new generation of AI that could solve incredibly complex problems that totally stumped older models. And it wasn't just that they were bigger, which was the usual answer. So the big question for researchers was, what on earth is going on inside these things? What's their secret?
Well, let's get into it. The answer seems to be a groundbreaking new theory that basically flips everything we thought we knew on its head. It's not about a single brilliant mind. It's about a whole team.
So you have this team from Google and the University of Chicago, and they put forward this wild idea. They said, look, maybe the best AIs aren't thinking with just one big brain. What if they're actually simulating a whole team of experts inside their own network, all arguing and debating to find the best answer?
And they even have a name for it, which I think is perfect: the Society of Thought. The idea is basically that the AI runs its own internal committee meeting. It creates these different internal voices, these different perspectives that argue with each other, poke holes in ideas, and check for mistakes. It's a social debate to get to the best result.
Okay, that sounds cool, right? A society of thought. But is it really happening? I mean, how can you prove that? It's all happening inside a black box. Well, this is where the evidence comes in, and it's pretty fascinating.
So get this, the researchers analyzed the thought process of these AIs, kind of like reading their minds. And what they found was, wow. Take a look at this chart. You've got your standard AI models, and then you've got the new, high-performing ones. The two bars show conversational behaviors, like questioning itself and exploring conflicting ideas. And just look at the difference. The smarter models are doing way more of this. They're literally having a debate with themselves to get to the right answer.
And it's not just a two-sided argument. What's amazing is that a whole cast of characters emerges inside the AI. You can almost picture them, right? There's the critical verifier, always checking the facts, the creative ideator, throwing out wild new ideas, and of course the cautious skeptic who's always saying, "Are we sure about this?" It's a whole team of personalities.
And just like any good human team, each of these voices brings a different expertise to the table. This image here is basically a map of the AI's brain during one of these debates. Each color represents a different specialty, logic, language, you name it. The AI is lighting up all these different areas, pulling in knowledge from everywhere to tackle the problem from all sides. Okay, so we've seen a lot of observation, but here comes the really mind-blowing part, the experiment. The researchers decided, what if we don't just watch this happen? What if we try to control it? And that led to this massive question. If this whole social debate thing is the secret sauce, what would happen if we could somehow force the AI to be more social? Like, what if we could find a social knob inside the AI's brain and just turn it up? So they used this really clever technique called activation steering, and it's basically what it sounds like. They were able to go deep inside the AI's neural network, find the exact little signal that corresponds to that moment in a conversation when someone goes, "Wait, hold on a sec." That moment of surprise or a change of direction, and they cranked it up. And the result? It was just insane. By turning up that one little social feature, they doubled the AI's accuracy on a really hard test. That's a 100% improvement, just by making it argue with itself more effectively. So what does that actually mean? It means the AI's way of thinking fundamentally changed. It started producing thoughts like the one you see here. Wait, let me see. Another idea. It began to actively second-guess itself, to challenge its own conclusions, and explore different possibilities. It was acting just like a person in a creative brainstorming meeting.
But this brings up a huge question, right? Where did this society of thought even come from? Nobody programmed the AI to do this. No one told it to create an internal debate team. So how did it learn?
This is maybe the most amazing part. The researchers ran experiments where they took a basic AI and just gave it one rule: get the right answer. They didn't tell it how. They just rewarded it when it was correct. And what happened? Over time, all by itself, The AI started developing these conversational debate-like behaviors. Why? Because it figured out that's the best way to get the right answer. It literally taught itself to debate.
And they proved this even further. They took some models and primed them, or taught them, to think in a conversational style from the start. And guess what? Those models learned to solve tough problems way faster and better than the ones taught to think in a simple, straight line, a monologue. The social approach itself is just better.
So, let's pull back for a second. What does this all mean for us, for the future of AI? Well, the implications are huge. This isn't just a small tweak. It's a fundamental shift in how we understand artificial intelligence.
You know, for years, the big idea in AI was just scale. Make it bigger, throw more data at it, add more processing power. But this research points to something else entirely. Maybe the future isn't just about scaling, but about social scaling. It's not about a bigger brain, but a better organized team within the brain.
So really, the big takeaway here is a complete change in perspective. We need to stop thinking of AI as just a solitary brain and start seeing it as a collaborative team. It's not just a tool we give commands to, it's becoming a system we might partner with. We're moving beyond a simple chain of thought to this much richer, much more powerful society of thought.
And that leaves us with one last big idea to chew on. If the most powerful form of machine intelligence is fundamentally social, what does that mean for us? It changes everything: how we build them, how we talk to them, and maybe how we work alongside them to solve the world's biggest problems.